Recently, a new mod for Melee came out that added new characters, skins, and stages, but most importantly, it added a game mode called Volleyball. A volleyball mechanic-based game entirely built on the foundation of Melee. I began playing Melee Volleyball within an hour of its release, and by the first day, I had put in 10 plus hours. I could beat all of my friends, even those who were better than me at normal Melee, and while everyone in the community was bragging about how good they were, I knew I could back it up. So, I hosted a volleyball singles tournament just 3 days after the mod's release to test where I truly stood. In attendance would be Kalvar, a top 100 Marth player, and Willy P, a high-level Peach player, among other fierce opponents. The bracket would start off as expected, with a quick victory over my opponent, reinforcing what I had already known, that I was the best. But my second match? Well, it would shake me a little. I played Fathom, a Falco player whose main strategy was to jump and use Falco's spike over and over again against the net. And while he frustrated me to play against, I was able to mix up the timings on my hits and throw in some soft hits as well to throw off his ability to spam spike. I came out of the set with the win, but I also realized something. This game mode is so undeveloped. There are probably hundreds of different random cheesy strategies just waiting to screw me over in a tournament set. Luckily, I was able to adapt to the Falco spike strategy in time, but would I be able to adapt to what came next? Well, what came next was even more frightening than a spike spamming Falco. It was a good spike spamming Falco. His name was Infernal, and his ability to wait out my hits, then slam it into my side over and over again, made him an impossible opponent. Whereas before I thought I had adapted to this strategy, I had merely adapted to an inferior version of it, and the real strategy was so hard to manage that I ended up getting 3-0'd. Now, in the losers bracket of a tournament I hosted, coming into thinking I was the best around, I had to swallow my pride and just play solid. See, I wasn't one of those people who got good by adapting some kind of cheesy strategy. I just played consistently, fast, and used my good reaction times and movement to get to the ball, no matter where it went. My ability to react in time would serve as a blessing when I played a Sheik who mainly relied on using up air as a spike. I needed to be able to see the spike coming and react, but also leave open the ability to deal with a weak hit mix-up. Luckily, I was able to do just this, and I would move on to face my toughest opponent yet, Kalvar. Yeah, in losers semifinals, I had to play a man so good at Melee that an annual review board recognized him as well within the top 100 players in the world, and at first, this would seem an easier task than expected. He had some cheese, like hitting me through the net and spiking with his down air, but I had seen this before, and before I knew it, I found myself with a 2-0 lead in the set. Then, something changed. He started returning the super fast hits that before only I could keep up with. He began mixing in soft hits to throw me off, and mostly, he hit me through the net over and fucking over again. Using this, and riding off the tilt I was feeling from getting hit in a game intended to have no direct interaction, Kalvar brought the set to a game 5. Continuing to tilt, I went down pretty hard in game 5, and would say out loud to my Twitch chat, I lost. But then,
trying to catch a butterfly. Monster. That's nice. And you're ready to flow.
I had taken the set over Kalvar. Now you might be thinking, hey, This video is titled How I Beat the Best Melee Volleyball Player, and he just beat a top 100 player, so that's gotta be the climax of the video, right? How wrong you are. While I would go on to 9-1 my next 10 games, and double sweep the grand finals, there was still a hill to be conquered. I had won a tournament, yeah, and a tournament with good players in attendance, sure, but everyone on Twitter still would think they were better than me. That's just how people are. But there was one thing Melee Twitter agreed on, and that was that FreePalestine is really good at Melee volleyball. Like really, really good. In fact, he might even be the best in the world. If I was going to silence the doubters and show that I was the best after all, it was him that I'd have to beat. And now, the antagonist of the video is revealed. Now, FreePalestine is far above my level in the Melee community, and when I had tried to do a YouTube video with him in the past for my Top 100 series, I couldn't reach out to him because he just doesn't have a Twitter? So, the only way I'd truly get to face off with him was in bracket. The opportunity came just one day after I won the singles tournament with a doubles Melee volleyball tournament called Melee Volleyball Super Smackdown, and among others, FreePalestine with his teammate Abdi would be in attendance. Ready for my match and chance to prove myself, I teamed up with Kalvar, and with our combined superpower, was sure we could crush any opponents in the tournament. And as the tournament started, we came to a realization. Doubles volleyball fucking sucks. It's laggy, and it's impossible not to beat up your teammate on accident. Our first set, we would lose 4-1 versus people who weren't better than us as individuals at the game, but for some reason were better as a duo. And sitting in loser's bracket round 1, Kalvar and I came to an agreement. We could both 1 versus 2 all of these teams and easily win the tournament. But of course, that wasn't legal. What was legal though, was Kalvar picking Ness, standing in front of the net, and only pressing up tilt. Like, this is not a joke. I played the game and he up tilted without looking at the screen. This was our actual strategy. And we won 4-0. Most importantly, FreePalestine had also fallen prey to the trap of trying to play doubles volleyball as a team, and was set to meet us in the next round. Finally, I would get my clash with the best Melee volleyball player in the world. Surprisingly, they had found a way to make working together work, and unsurprisingly, a team working together well beats a Fox and an up-tilt spamming Ness. They took 2 games before we realized we needed a change of plans. No longer did I care about how cool I looked. No longer did I care about impressing my opponents. I wanted the most broken, dumbass shit in volleyball, and I wanted it now. Kalvar would be the one to make the suggestion, saying that if we played Pikachu and only used Thunder, it would be like a Ness up tilt, but even better. I was skeptical at first, but knowing this might just be the strategy we need to beat FreePalestine, I agreed. And what would ensue will go down in the history books as the worst games of Melee volleyball ever played. Game 3, we win. They don't know how to deal with it. It's a wall of lightning up at almost all times with a quick Fox running in the background just in case a ball slips through. Game 4, another W. They figured out that they can mix up the Pikachu with timing changes, but luckily, Kalvar adapted, and with every mix-up they threw at us, he threw another one back. Game 5 would come around. Now, with an even set and a frustrated FreePalestine team, they would turn to the one strategy capable of beating the net Pikachu wall. A strategy pioneered by Kalvar himself. Picking Marth and hitting your opponent through the net. It was frustrating. They had found a counter to our playstyle. But then, Kalvar realized something. After a certain percent from getting hit so much, he would bounce off the back wall and be able to tech so quickly that it's like the hit never even happened. They would hit Kalvar, then try to hit the ball over, but I would keep the ball up while Kalvar got back in place, and with a jump before the Thunder, the Pikachu wall stood strong, giving us the victory. Now I know what you're thinking, holy shit that was lame. And you're right, but holy shit we did it. It wasn't an honest win, it wasn't a clean win, but I had won a singles volleyball tournament, then beat the best volleyball player in the world in a doubles tournament. And while I'm not ready to crown myself the best yet, I imagine FreePalestine will be hitting me up any day now to see who's really number 1.